You've got an insider-outsider perspective here. And Jason, first and foremost, when we think about whether Elon Musk at the moment, many would say, yes, we don't always like the way in which he acts and gets there, but you can't back against him. He always gets things done. The success he has with Tesla, the success he has with SpaceX. But at the moment, is he acting from your perspective like a rational business leader or erratically in some way?
No, I think he's acting very erratically and motivated based on his own political preferences and the issues that activate him the most. This ban that occurred last night for a variety of journalists was motivated by a fear that he had for his family, and no one can doubt a fear that a person has for their family. But in fact, it seems fairly unconnected with the Twitter account that was tracking his jet movements. You know, there was no post from that account on Tuesday night. This paparazzi incident happened on Tuesday night away from an airport, and yet he somehow decided to blame this jet tracking service. But not only that, he banned journalists for even just linking to the account of that of that plane tracker. He would have been much better off just saying anything that talks about my family is off limits on this service that I now own. But instead, he's trying to formulate this very convoluted pretextual policy and presenting it as a protection against doxing, and it simply doesn't work because it's really about his own personal fears and motivations.
Jason, what's interesting, and I suppose what many have been upended by, is the idea that he bought Twitter because he's a freedom of speech absolutist, is the way he sort of termed it at the time. And now these sorts of movements don't seem to work in that. But what's interesting is the way perhaps he brought back previously banned accounts, like one Donald Trump, was he went on a Twitter poll and he asked the audience, and he's done it again. We understand, of course, he's gone and said, look, should I be actually banning these journalists should I unban them immediately? Shall I leave it for 7 days? The poll seems to say that, well, he should lift the ban. Do you think he'll stick to that at the moment, Jason? Do you think he'll use that again? Because he followed the poll previously.
He'll unban the journalist not because of the poll, but because he realizes that he's messed up in this situation. He realizes that this was a bridge too far, and that he's now going to try to make an attempt like, see, you have to follow my rules. But the outcry over it is simply going to be too much, and he's going to unban these journalists because he doesn't want to have to deal with this. He doesn't want to have to deal with this untenable issue. And it's true that he did present himself as a free speech absolutist, but I think anyone with a fair reading of the facts, even from back in April, would have seen that this was just pretext for him advancing very specific political views. He's now gone on to endorse a Republican ticket. He is very specific about the woke mind virus that is destroying the United States. And he's been silent on other important free speech issues, such as Chinese dissidents who use Twitter outside of China to coordinate protests, and the protests in Iran that are being done to help advance pro-democracy movements. You know, Twitter has been a tool of free speech and for democracy advocates since before Elon Musk has had an account. And he doesn't care about those issues because he's not really motivated by free speech. He's motivated by what serves his own parochial interests.
And it's interesting, we asked our own audience via our own @technology handle on Twitter about whether they think ultimately the end goal of freedom of speech is being achieved by Elon Musk right now. And at the moment, they don't think it is, Jason. And I'm interested as to whether in the longer term, we will see that eventually occur, or will we see people push to other social media platforms? What was so interesting, and you referenced it yourself, is that a rival, Mastodon, seems to be having all of its links basically banned. Its own profile was banned because it linked to Elon jets, but now anything that people are linking to in terms of social media put on that rival social media platform seems to not be getting through either. What do you make of that, the competition focus too?
That's right. And I think my prediction for Twitter has long been that it's not going to die overnight, but that it will become more broken and more stupid. And I think that's what we're seeing play out. And that as a result, people will find other places that they want to hang out, whether those are public places like Mastodon or private places like Discord. They're simply not going to want to be on a service where the main character every day is Elon Musk, and it's simply tracking, what new shenanigans that he's gotten up to and what policies he's decided to invent out of pique and anger. One thing I would say to Elon about this and the the very real moves that he's making to drive users to other platforms because of the anger and pique that he's pursuing these new policies with, is I know Elon is a big fan of Frank Herbert's Dune. It's a book that he's quoted, actually misquoted on his tweets before. And I'm a fan of Frank Herbert's Dune as well. A proper quote from Dune that I would encourage him to reflect on is, "A stone is heavy and the sand is weighty, but a fool's wrath is heavier than them both." And what we're really seeing of with users going to these other platforms is the result of a fool's wrath.
What's interesting is, as I said before, people's belief in Elon Musk. And we've spoken to VCs who are still very much supportive of the SpaceX fundraise that's going on at the moment, for example. They don't feel that they can bet against him as a leader, even if you say perhaps he's letting foolish mindset perhaps pervade his overall actions at the moment. Twitter currently, we understand there's reports out there that it's raising funds at the moment, once again at a $54.20 price. Do we think people are going to be interested in this investment?
I think it will get filled. I'm sure there's Elon fanboys out there in the tech world who will be happy to be in business with him for the reasons you say. Maybe it allows them to get friends and family in the SpaceX IPO, or they just want to be involved with Elon long term. I'm sure the SpaceX IPO will work out well. And you know, even though Tesla is down over 60% on the year to date, you know, maybe there's a case for Tesla longs as well. The difference is that Twitter and the moves that he's making with Twitter are just destroying brand value. Twitter has always had an excess of brand value beyond its business value. It's always succeeded because it attracted the important real-time conversations among journalists, media personalities, celebrities, and so on. And he is actively driving away those use cases. Even before these bans, he's doing that. But now with the moves that he's making in the last 24 hours, he's showing that it's just simply not a place for those conversations to be had. Additionally, you know, Elon, purportedly someone who's concerned about safety and his own family safety. I'm sure he is concerned about his own family safety. But we have to remember that he also, in the course of putting out the Twitter files, has endangered the lives of employees who used to work for the company. You know, trust and safety head Yoel Roth had to flee his home reportedly because Elon helped propagate a false story that Yoel was soft on child sexual abuse material. I mean, that's deeply irresponsible coming from the CEO of a social media company. And I think it should give anyone pause about the future of Twitter's trajectory.